Right now on Morning News Now, bracing for disaster. Breaking this morning, Hurricane Beryl wreaking havoc on the Texas coast. The powerful summer storm making landfall this morning as a Category 1 hurricane after carving a path of destruction through the Caribbean and Mexico.
We have to take Beryl very, very serious. Our worst enemy is our complacency.
Meanwhile, crews in California battling a new wind-fueled wildfire as the summer swelter continues across the country. We are tracking it all. Also this morning, pressure and pushback from President Biden as concerns grow over his re-election bid. Now, a new debate over who could step in if Biden steps down. We'll have the latest. And summer surge. The 4th of July has come and gone, but the summer travel rush may just be getting started. What you can expect in the air and on the roads. Good morning. I'm Savannah Sellers. Joe is off today, and we're, of course, going to get started on this Monday in Texas, where Hurricane Beryl is making landfall and taking aim at Houston, the nation's 4th largest city. The storm, which was upgraded to a Category 1 overnight, is packing sustained winds of 80 miles per hour and is bringing more than a foot of rain in some of the hardest hit areas. There's already been significant reports of dangerous storm surge along the Texas coast. The state's lieutenant governor issued a disaster declaration for more than 100 counties ahead of the storm, warning people that there will be, quote, significant devastation. Now, the U.S. Coast Guard shut down multiple ports and several schools are closed today and tomorrow, including the state's largest school district in Houston. We are covering the storm from all angles. We have meteorologist Angie Lassman standing by with the forecast. We also have the public information officer from Matagorda County, Texas, Mitch Thames. He is here with more on the official preparations. We're going to get started, though, with NBC News correspondent Jay Gray, who is live in Port Lavaca, Texas, which is in the direct path of the storm. Jay, good morning. First, what is the weather like there now? What are officials telling people to brace for in the coming hours?
Yeah, and Savannah, we're getting a bit of a lull right now. We continue to see some of the gusts that are upwards of 60 miles an hour or so, but the rain has stopped for this point. It's not over by any means. As you talk about, this storm has made landfall, and we've seen heavy rain. We've seen strong winds. I just watched about 30 minutes ago power transformers popping one after the other. We don't have power here. They're close to 150,000 without power right now in the strike zone. And that's only going to magnify as we talk about. This is a storm that has moved on shore. It's rotating counterclockwise, as you know. And so we'll begin to get those bands coming back through with more rain, more winds. And water's really going to be the big issue now. You talked about Houston. They're going to see some heavy rains over the next several hours. It's an area prone to flooding. We've seen serious flooding there before, and it's something that it wouldn't be a surprise if we have that a bit later today. Look, we've have areas across this region that have already had 6 inches of rain. Now they're going to see 2 to 4 every hour. There are flash flood warnings in effect. We also know that there are some tornado warnings in effect, and that's what you often see in these storms. The storm moves onshore, and then you start to see these tornado warnings pop up. So, again, just because this storm has made landfall does not mean it's over. In fact, in many areas, it's just the opposite.
Jay, what's the biggest concern for the people who live there as we move forward here? What are you hearing from residents?
Yeah, I think it's the water, first of all, and all of the rain that we're going to continue to see, and flooding, which is, a major problem in this part of the country. There are a lot of people who've moved to higher ground, moved to areas outside of the strike zone. And so for them, the idea is getting back in and seeing what's happened. That's going to take some time as well. And what authorities are saying is, don't rush back. There's no need to get back. Many areas are without power. There's nothing you can do here. So they're saying, be patient. Let this thing pass. If there's any good news, Savannah, it's that this storm is moving at about 10 miles an hour. So it's moving at a pretty good clip.
Absolutely. Jay, did people there listen to those warnings to evacuate?
I think in the immediate Port Lavaca area, several did. They got out of the way. I think overall across the region, I'm not sure they did. This developed pretty quickly, and for so long, this area was not a part of the cone. This wasn't an area they thought was going to be dramatically affected. That changed very quickly, and I think a lot of people decided, well, I'm going to ride this thing out. what officials are saying, if that's what you chose to do, understand that you're doing that at your own risk. Make sure you have plenty of food. Make sure that you charge your phones and other devices because you're going to lose power. And at the height of this storm, which some still haven't got to yet, we're not going to send people in to try and pull you out. We're not going to put first responders in harm's way if you made that decision to stay. And so right now, that's what's happening with a lot of people across this region. They're riding it out.
Jay Gray.
As the rain, Savannah, begins to pick up as we get another band move through.
Absolutely. Well, Jay Gray, stay safe. We'll talk to you in just a little bit. Thank you very much. Let's now bring in Mitch Thames. He is the Public Information Officer for Matagorda County, which is about 90 miles south of Houston. Mitch, thank you very much for joining us this morning. So the eye of the storm passed right over your county as it made landfall. What does the damage look like at this point? What can you assess?
Well, Savannah, I will tell you that we've had quite a bit, hours and hours and hours of extremely high winds. We've got a lot of rain. We've got some inland flooding as well as tree limbs being down. The Gulf Coast is inaccessible right now. The high tides on top of the storm surge, on top of the wind and the rain, has closed many of the coastal areas. We expected that. 3 days ago, we said we had a voluntary evacuation for those areas. It's prone to flooding, but it's also expected. The houses are built in such a way we don't have any reports of any homes being damaged. But in Bay City and Palacios, in the inland part of our county, because we're right along the Gulf Coast, we've got significant damage. We've got about a third of our community is without power right now. We've got a couple of reports of down power lines. They're not energized, but they are down. And so we've had a significant hit. Just a few minutes ago, we were in the eye. In the middle of the eye. We know that backside is coming at us. We know it's probably going to be a little worse. We know we still have a tremendous amount of rain.
When do you expect power to come back? Any idea on that yet for your residents who are without it?
Well, there's good news and bad news. We're not going to be able to do anything until the winds die down. We still got the back half of this hurricane to go through. So it's going to be hours and hours. The good news is our power crews are pre-staged. Both AEP Texas and our local Jackson Electric Power Co-op, they've pre-staged. They're ready to go as soon as it gets safe for those employees to be out. We expect them to hit the ground. Our Sheriff's Department as well has predetermined routes ready to go as soon as the winds get into a manageable level. Then our county commissioners are standing by to clear debris. Our state transportation department is ready. Embedded with us now at our Emergency Operations Center, we've got the Texas Department of Emergency Management. We've got Swift Water Rescue. We've got High Water Rescue. We were sitting here riding out the storm. Our number one message to the citizens all along the Gulf Coast, but particularly here in Matagorda County, is please stay home. I'm worried about they're trying to get out in the eye. Again, we were dead center. They think that it's over. It's not over. We expect it to come back with a vengeance. Please stay home. Even when the sun comes up, please stay home. We have our first responders. We have official teams ready to go out, ready to do their assessments. And we just don't have time to have people driving around assessing damage. Give us a little bit of time. I anticipate this process is going to be several hours, as much as 10 o'clock this morning, maybe noon. We're just not sure. As your meteorologist said, it's moving about 10 miles an hour. It's not moving fast enough for us, to be really honest, but I understand overall it's moving. Our whole area has been impacted, so please stay home. Please don't get out. And I know everybody, I know the curiosity is high. please hang back. Let our first responders, let our law enforcement, let the work crews do their thing. Let's clear the roads. A lot of flooding, low-lying areas are flooded. A lot of our neighborhood streets are underwater, and it's just really not safe to get out right now.
Mitch Thames, thank you very much for joining us this morning. We know it is a busy one. We appreciate your time and an important message for the people of your county there. Thank you very much. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Well, as Texas braces for the impact of Hurricane Beryl out west, firefighters in California are battling another wildfire. The Lake Fire erupted in Santa Barbara County over the weekend, burning across more than 18,000 acres so far. It started near the Los Padres National Forest on Friday afternoon, which is about 115 miles northwest of Los Angeles. The fire, which is now the biggest in the state, has already destroyed several homes and prompted evacuation orders in multiple towns, including the late Michael Jackson's former Neverland Ranch. So far, it has only been 8% contained. This fire is one of 21 active wildfires in California as the state experiences a dangerous, record-breaking heat wave. For more details on both of these stories, Hurricane Beryl making landfall in Texas and also the heat out west, let's get a closer look at your forecast with meteorologist Angie Lassman. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. The weather has no chill, put simply. We've got all of that historic heat happening out west, but of course, in the immediate future, where all eyes are focused on what's going on with Beryl. Did make landfall earlier this morning around 4 a.m. Central Time. Winds were about 80 miles per hour. They're maintaining that. So we have a Category 1. If this system had a little more time over the Gulf of Mexico, I fear we would have been talking about a much stronger system. If it had an extended amount of time, really strong, we probably would have seen some rapid intensification happening. Beryl has been quite impressive over the past essentially 2 weeks since it came offshore of Africa as a tropical wave 13 days ago, and now has made a third landfall. The impacts have already been far-reaching across parts of coastal Texas, stretching into northern portions. Notice that we see some of this heavy rain headed for Galveston. We're going to see one of these really heavy rain bands working through that region. The flooding has already been a big issue. And one other thing to note, notice where the eye is, and it's moving directly north. We'll likely see Houston maybe to the west will be where that center lines up here as we get closer to, say, 9, 10 o'clock this morning. So mid-morning hours, the center will at least be near the Houston metro area. But in the meantime, we still have impactful weather. It's looking a little more ragged, that eye, but still maintaining its strength as of the latest update from the National Hurricane Center. But notice these wind speeds that we're currently dealing with. 68 mile per hour winds in Houston. We've got 56 mile per hour winds just offshore. Even East Matagorda, who was where we saw that landfall happening earlier this morning, they went through the eye. They saw those winds calm down. They're now sitting about 35 miles per hour. Port O'Connor about 51 miles per hour. One other thing to note, we've got a tornado watch. It's kind of hard to see, but you see where that pink line is? That's the tornado watch that's in effect until mid-morning. We could potentially see that extended, but either way, it's not hard for us to get some of these isolated tornadoes, those spin-ups with the circulation coming on shore. This is something we often see, especially as the system moves to the north in this kind of area, general vicinity, as that system's on the move, making its way to the north. Now, the highest winds we've seen so far, pretty impressive from Freeport, 92 mile per hour wind gusts. Matagorda Beach, we saw those peak around 75 miles per hour. Matagorda Bay, 89 miles per hour. So wind damage is going to be likely. You heard the official from Matagorda County talking about the power outages. That's something that will be pretty widespread. The downed trees, all going to be something that we have to deal with. But we're really concerned about the rainfall. Bay City coming in over 4 inches so far. That's just in the last 24 hours. These numbers are going to climb pretty quickly, especially as that system continues to work its way to the north. When it's all said and done, probably 5 to 10 inches of rain, but upwards of maybe 10 to 15 inches of rain. I think 15 is on the high end, the maximum that we'll see. But you never know when some of these really intense tropical rain bands set up one after another in a spot, especially when we deal with these really vulnerable areas. We've seen what's happened in the past with Houston, specifically the metro area there, really vulnerable to the flooding, and that's something that we're going to see. Now, storm surge also has been pretty impressive. I think right outside of Matagorda Bay, at the mouth of that bay, we saw it peaking around 4 feet. We did have a little help with the low tide coming just before that landfall, so that made for some better conditions than what we could have seen if we were talking high tide time. But Savannah, there likely will be more images coming out of that area. And yes, we talked about the heat, still 122 million people under this heat wave. This is going to be something we see for the extended period. We saw Las Vegas into the high 118 over the past couple of days. Many more records to come. Notice Palm Springs 119 Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Las Vegas tapping out at 117 Tuesday and Wednesday.
That is where it gets dangerous.
Exactly.
Yeah, stay inside. Angie, thank you so much. Lots of great info. See you in just a little bit. Let's turn now to the race for the White House. On Sunday, Meet the Press moderator Kristen Welker spoke with California Democratic Congressman and Senate candidate Adam Schiff about whether he thinks President Biden should pass the torch to Vice President Kamala Harris amid concerns over Mr. Biden's age. Here's part of that conversation.
Can President Biden win overwhelmingly by any stretch at this point?
Either he has to win overwhelmingly or he has to pass the torch to someone who can't. It's as simple as that, because what the Supreme Court did in that decision was give the next occupant of that office, whether it's Joe Biden or anyone else, nearly dictatorial power.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that coming up, but let me very quickly ask you about the vice president. You saw the polling. One poll shows her doing better against former President Trump. Do you think she's a stronger candidate to take on Donald Trump?
I think the vice president would be a phenomenal president. I think she has the experience, the judgment, the leadership ability to be an extraordinary president.
Could she win overwhelmingly, Congressman?
I think she very well could win overwhelmingly, but before we get into a decision about who else it should be, the president needs to make the decision whether it's him. I don't want to get into a debate. I don't think it's good for the party to get into a debate over, okay, if not him, then whom, but rather let's focus on the fundamental decision.
Our thanks to Kristen Welker for that conversation with California Congressman Adam Schiff, and you can see the full interview at meetthepress.com. Let's stay with this story. Lawmakers are returning to Capitol Hill today after the holiday recess as Democrats argue over whether President Biden should stay in the election race. The president spent the weekend trying to reassure uneasy party members, donors, and voters that he has got what it takes to beat former President Donald Trump. It comes as NBC News learns that 4 more Democrats in Congress told their colleagues that they believe President Biden should step aside. NBC's Bree Jackson has the latest.
My name is Joe Biden.
Facing intense pressure to prove himself, President Biden campaigned in Pennsylvania Sunday, seeking to fight off criticism about his chances of winning re-election.
I've been doing this a long time, and I, honest to God, have never been more optimistic about America's future if we stick together.
But members of his own party have their doubts. Nearly a dozen House Democrats have called on Biden to drop out of the presidential race after concerns about the 81-year-old's poor debate performance. Others are standing firmly behind him.
What I do think the president needs to decide is, can he put those concerns aside? Can he demonstrate to the American people that what happened on the debate stage was an aberration?
I know what it's like to have a rough debate, and I'm standing right here, you know, as your senator. And I want to just say how I'm so proud I am to stand with the president.
The Biden campaign is still working to convince the public that he's capable of leading the country for 4 more years.
I think he's done a great job. However, I think that now's the time for Joe Biden to be the statesman, step down.
I'm still feeling good about Joe Biden.
I find it fascinating that nobody's asking for his opponent, who's almost as old as he is, mentally fairly confused, not to step down or step aside.
President Biden insists he's staying in the fight. And President Biden faces another big test this week. He'll host world leaders for a NATO summit here in Washington, D.C. That begins on Tuesday. In Washington, Bree Jackson. Savannah, back to you.
All right, Bree, thank you so much. Well, in other political news, closing arguments are set to get underway this afternoon in the federal bribery trial of New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez. His defense rested their case last week without the senator taking a stand in his own defense. Menendez said the government, quote, failed to prove every aspect of this case. Prosecutors alleged that bribes in the form of gold bars and hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash were uncovered during a search of Menendez's home back in 2022. The New Jersey senator has pleaded not guilty to charges he traded cash for political favors. Well, in a surprising move, aircraft manufacturing giant Boeing plans to plead guilty to a single criminal fraud charge related to two crashes involving 737 MAX airplanes in 2018 and 2019 that killed 346 people. It's part of a plea deal negotiated between Boeing and the U.S. Justice Department, which accused the plane maker of deceiving regulators. The deal will require the company to pay an almost $250 million fine and invest at least $455 million in compliance and safety programs. It will also allow the company to avoid a criminal trial. Well, the deal has to be accepted by a federal judge before it can take effect, but some relatives of the victims who died in the two crashes say this deal hides the true magnitude of Boeing's crime. Boeing confirmed it reached a deal with the Justice Department, but gave no further comment. Well, as many of us are getting back to work after a long holiday weekend, the TSA is bracing for a record rush through America's airports. NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa is at Chicago O'Hare International Airport for us. Maggie, good morning. First, just what's it like there so far? It's looking pretty busy behind you.
Savannah, it's already definitely busy behind us. But I mean, as you know, this continues like a surge in travel over the last week or so. And actually, we just got new data in the last hour, bringing it here first from TSA. Yesterday alone, they say they screened more than 3 million passengers. Those are preliminary numbers from the agency. They say that is a record total. That is the most passengers screened in a single day. And some travel sites are estimating we'll have a similar crowd, close to 3 million passengers, going through America's airports today. So these airports are crammed. People should definitely allow extra time. For what it's worth, we should point out TSA was bracing for this. They had predicted close to 16 million passengers between July 3rd and the end of today. So we'll see how that overall total shakes out. If that does happen, Savannah, it would be up 5% from last year. So kind of the post-pandemic surge in travel just continues to escalate, clearly.
Absolutely. And we keep on hearing that that's the most passengers screened in a single day. It just keeps going up and up. Maggie, let's talk about the roads. Right. If you're driving, how's it looking this morning? When's the best time to hit the road if you want to try to avoid traffic as much as possible?
Get ready for another record-setting number, Savannah. This is also another situation where if you are driving, you're part of a record wave. AAA says that close to 60 million Americans basically over the last week or so drove to get to or from their July 4th destination. So again, today is expected to be a major travel day out on the roads as well. If you are hitting the roads, you really want to avoid that kind of midday rush between like 1 and 5 p.m. The best time to hit the road, if you can stay up and if you can do it safely, which for us who are up early in the morning, it's a bit questionable. The best time, Savannah, is after 7. So it feels late to me, but that's when traffic would be lightest.
Ooh, yeah, especially on this schedule, right? Just starting to drive at 7 p.m. I don't think so. Maggie, what are some areas seeing worse highway congestion than others? Where is it going to be tougher on the roads?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So basically, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, and Denver are the three cities that are kind of getting pegged as going to have the worst holiday travel. Their holiday traffic, I should say, is up from last year, but they're expected, get this, to have twice as much congestion today as they do on a normal day. So if you're driving to, from, or through those areas, definitely allow extra time. And again, stay up late if you can, but I would not bank on that myself. You would need to put coffee straight into my veins to make me drive after 7 at this point. Yeah.
All right, Maggie, thank you so much. Talk to you in a bit. Well, there is much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, continuing coverage on Hurricane Beryl as it slams the Texas coast. Up first, though, after the break, fallout in France following a stunning second round of parliamentary elections that's left all parties short of a majority. We will take you to Paris up next. Stay with us. Welcome back. France is on course for political gridlock this morning after no party managed to secure a majority in the second round of parliamentary elections. In a surprise result, the alliance of left-wing and Green parties came first, while President Macron's centrist coalition came in second. Now, the far-right National Party came in third place, despite coming first in the initial round of voting last week. NBC News international correspondent Josh Letterman joins us now from Paris on all this. Josh, good morning. So is it seen as a pretty surprising result in France? Many had predicted, maybe some had feared, the far right would win power, but they've ended up in third. Help us understand what happened, because we were just having this conversation about the success that particular party was seeing just a few days ago.
Well, the polls were wrong, Savannah. That much is clear. But here's what else happened. The centrists and the leftists joined together at the last minute to form a firewall to keep the far right out of power. What happened was, in the first round of voting, there were often 3 or more candidates who were kind of splitting the vote among them, and that gave the far right a chance to get ahead. And so in between the first and the second round, the leftists and the centrists convinced their less vote-getting candidate to drop out and essentially consolidate all their votes behind the non-far right candidate, and it worked.
Yesterday, we saw anti-far right protests in Paris. Tell us more about the reaction we're seeing to these results and to those initial poll numbers that you referenced.
Well, clearly this is a big surprise, and so there have been some unrest. We saw some of those protests last night, although they were fairly contained by French standards. But from the voters that I've been speaking here within Paris, many of them are buckling up their seatbelts for a roller coaster ride, given how uncertain French politics is going to be now going forward. Listen to what one Paris voter told me.
It's still not stable. It's still unsure how the next weeks and months will be, so nothing is sure, in my opinion.
Are you worried about such instability right when France is about to host the Olympics?
It was a problem before, and now even more.
A lot of these voters are pretty frustrated right now because they feel like with this gridlock, not much is going to change that's actually going to help them in the coming months.
So, Josh, with no bloc commanding a majority, what happens next? Walk us through how the process works from here.
Well, it's going to be messy, to be honest with you. Essentially, the president, Macron, is going to have to name a new prime minister from among the leftists because they gained the most seats. It's unclear who he's going to choose, but that means you're going to have the president from one party, the prime minister from another party, and no party with a clear majority in parliament to actually pass laws. And so they're going to have to try to form some type of coalition to be able to get legislation through. That is not something that France has a history of doing very effectively. And so the recipe right now is looking like it's going to be leading to a lot of gridlock and potentially a lot of government inaction, just as at a period when France is really under a microscope with those Olympic Games starting just in a few weeks, Savannah.
Certainly are. Josh, thank you very much. Let's get you more international news now. Protesters took to the streets of Tel Aviv over the weekend to mark 9 months of the war in Gaza. Claudia Lavanga joins us now from Rome with that and more. Hey, Claudia, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. Well, that's right. Israeli protesters all over the country over the weekend blocked major intersections and highways to call on the government to reach a ceasefire deal with Hamas and also, of course, to free the remaining hostages still being held in Gaza. Now, this comes as the country marked 9 months since the Hamas attack on October the 7th, and right after Hamas dropped a key demand for a complete ceasefire last week. Near the border with Gaza, protesters released hundreds of black and yellow balloons to symbolize those citizens who were killed and abducted. Let's now move to Asia, where Japan and the Philippines have signed a key defense pact today. The pact, called the Reciprocal Access Agreement, allows their troops to enter each other's territories for joint military exercises in an effort to strengthen their alliance as they face increasingly assertive China. Japan's foreign minister called the agreement, and I quote, a groundbreaking achievement that should further deepen relations between the two nations. And we end at the Wimbledon Tennis Championship in London, where Emma Navarro, the 19th ranked women's tennis player, defeated the number 2 player, Coco Gauff, in the quarterfinals this weekend. During the match, Gauff kept looking at her guest box for help from her coaches. Now, this is Navarro's first Grand Slam quarterfinals, marking the victory as the biggest in her career so far. Back to you, Savannah.
Quite the match. Claudia, thank you so much. Well, coming up, we are tracking Hurricane Beryl as the Category 1 storm slams the Texas coast. We will take you there up next. Welcome back. Just moments ago, Hurricane Beryl made landfall along Texas's Gulf Coast as a Category 1 storm. For the very latest, we are going to simulcast the coverage from NBC's Houston affiliate, KPRC, which has reporters all over the area. And we will be back at the top of the hour with more Morning News Now.
Bouncing off the ground and pushing its way through as we zoom in to those gas station pumps. Oh, excuse me, let me bump down just a little bit to show you guys just how strong some of that wind is coming off of the gas pumps. They had it wrapped with plastic wrap, but it's starting to come off. Now, I do want to show you some video, Haley, that we shot overnight of a giant sign here in the parking lot that fell from those strong wind speeds. Take a look at it right here. Now, throughout the night, the wind speed has reached about 50 miles per hour, but the actual wind gust has reached 70 miles per hour. And so we actually caught that on our truck. We saw it, happening. I kept telling photojournalist Michael Lemons, I said, that sign is about to fall over, and we saw it. And one of our editors, Eddie, he was rolling on it at the time, so we were able to capture it. And there was actually a car over there when it happened, and the car quickly came back over, and it was just a scary moment for all of us. But it hasn't changed really out here. I would say it's kind of picked up here in the past 30 minutes, but we're kind of getting a better look. We're kind of seeing more, little, not sunlight, but daylight is starting to come out. And so, we're hoping to eventually go back over to the beach area, Surfside Beach area, to see if there's any damage in that area, any homes that were destroyed. We've been kind of waiting here. It's the safest spot where a lot of people in the parking lot are also waiting here at this Buc-ee's. We did see some damage here also on the ground, and so we're going to kind of back the truck up a little bit to kind of show you. We do see a car that's in the way, so that car may be blocking it. One of the workers may be blocking it, but it's still strong wind and heavy downpours at times here in the Surfside area. So we're just going to kind of continue to watch it. I've been watching the radar on my phone, and it says it's going to kind of be done hopefully around 3 o'clock. The rain is starting to kind of taper down as we get around the 9 o'clock hour. So that might be our best bet to try to go back over to the Surfside area and kind of check on some of the homes and check on some of the damage that we were seeing when we were out there this morning. So that's the very latest here in yes.
Rochelle, what kind of damage are you talking about? You said that a car was covering it, but what are you talking about? Are you talking about something off the building, or what are you looking at?
Yes, there was some damage off of the building that we saw fall from the building, but we can't see it right now just because there was a car.
So maybe like siding off of that Buc-ee's?
I believe it's in it. Yes, there was some siding either from the roof or from the side of the building that fell. It was sitting in this parking lot.
Yeah, we saw that in one of your last live shots, right? Like it just sort of came off of the building.
Yeah, one of the live shots, there was some damage from the building, and so, we've been. It's just been kind of tough to try to go make a run for it inside, just because the wind is just so crazy and the rain is just coming down sideways. So we just haven't been able to go in there and ask someone. But yes, we have seen some damage out here in the Surfside Freeport area. When we were on the beach earlier, we saw porta potties. They were flying our way. We lost power, so we made the decision to come over here because it was safe. But we saw trash cans, street signs, all kinds of stuff just kind of flying through the air. And so, I'm hoping that everybody over there is okay. It was a voluntary evacuation, but we did see some people that rode out the storm. So hopefully they made the decision to come over here too to kind of get a better look at what we're seeing, because this area right now has power, but it kept flickering on and off when we were in the Surfside area. And I've been trying to put it up on my phone to see how many people in this area don't have power. I've been listening to y'all say it's well over 900-some thousand. So, you know, we're starting to feel those effects still here in this area.
Yeah, exactly. So following the advice that we're giving everybody else, good idea, staying put, getting to a safe spot and staying put, and then you'll be able to maybe go back to Surfside and check that out. CenterPoint Energy covers Freeport, and so they're not breaking down for us exactly how many people in Freeport don't have power or Surfside, but it's 752,000 CenterPoint customers overall.
Across the entire
so that's a whole lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah, all right.
So we've got Rochelle in Freeport. We saw Owen in Galveston and Gage in Matagorda. So all of our reporters along the coast there are talking about these strong, intense winds. As you see, Rochelle is taking cover at a Buc-ee's in that area along with some other people. There were voluntary evacuations in these areas, so we can assume that some people might have already left their homes. Some people might be there. If you're hearing us and you're hearing these strong winds, we know that it is expected to last a little bit longer, so you're just supposed to stay put. Nobody should be getting out on the roads right now. And to give us a better look at the roads, Justina's here to join us now.
Yeah, so speaking of the roads, we do have an accident on the Beltway. This is heading northbound at the West Park. It's blocking a left shoulder as well as some of those center lanes. A lot of our cameras this morning have been going in and out because of the high wind and the weather in general. So this is a live look at the Southwest Freeway just at Dunlavy. You see that water on the roadway blocking that right shoulder, some of those right lanes. And I did see traffic kind of getting by on that left side. We do see this car coming by slowly here with their flashers on, but again, this is an area where you will want to avoid. I know we had some video overnight for some of those high water locations, and just take a look. It's at West Belford Avenue and Willcrest. So this is the southwest side. When you see water like this, it's one of those things where you turn around, don't drown, and don't try to drive in it, especially when you have a smaller vehicle or even a larger vehicle. I recommend not chancing it and staying off of the roads. Speaking of high waters, let's take it to the maps this morning so we can talk about some of those locations that you will want to avoid altogether. So when it comes to high water locations, the West Park Tollway heading eastbound at the Beltway, that exit ramp there is closed because of high water. And then again, we got that area on the Southwest Freeway heading northbound at Dunlavy. One other area that I'm also seeing some high water, it's more so on the south side. So the Beltway, that feeder from Alameda, we got a high water location. You will want to avoid it. I did see some of that camera earlier before it was knocked out because of those winds. And trust me, even those main lanes have water kind of flowing through them. So avoid it if you can. Overall, I was kind of looking at the TxDOT website to see what areas you may see some potential flooding. Originally, it was more so in the southern areas, but now it's more so inside the loop, just before you get to that south loop, and then now along I-10. So if you're coming inbound from Katy, I would try to stay off the roads this morning, the Katy Freeway, just inside the Grand Parkway. And then even if you're traveling on the Beltway, so the east side, we saw some of those high water locations just after I-10. And then, of course, the Southwest Freeway, if you're traveling in that Sugar Land area. I haven't showed drive times at all this morning because I do still recommend staying off of the road. But if you want to take a look at them, here they are. We are in the yellow across the board, but regardless, because of that flooding in areas, you will want to give yourself a lot of extra time, especially if you do have to head anywhere. If it is an emergency, like I said, I recommend staying off of the roads, but if you do have to go, I recommend doubling your time to get to where you need to go this morning.
All right. Thank you so much, Justina. Talking about high water in the roadways, we do have all of our crews spread out so that we can monitor that and kind of see what's happening in your neighborhood. And now we want to check in with Bryce Newberry.
Yeah, Bryce, we hear that you do actually see some ponding or flooding in that area?
Yeah, Haley and Amy, we've definitely seen some of that flooding in the road. Actually, Lad, if you can show them here in the middle of the street. This is Kingsland Boulevard here in front of us, and we've seen several cars pulling up to it. Some have decided to drive through. You can see this truck actually making the decision to drive through right now, but there's also been several who have kind of pulled up to this spot and seen the high water. They've stopped, and they followed the advice to turn around, don't drown. So everyone kind of making that decision on their own this morning. but this is just one of the spots here along Mason Road, again at Kingsland Boulevard. And we've felt some of those big gusts coming through here. There was actually a moment where Vlad had to jump out of the truck and make sure that all of our equipment was still stable. But this sign up here is one thing that I've really been keeping a close eye on, because as those gusts have been coming through, I mean, those signs have really just been wobbling in the wind. So right now it's kind of a little bit of a lull, but that is one thing that we've continued to see throughout the morning here, especially as it's gotten lighter. So still a lot of rain, heavy rain and gusts coming through here right now. So the advice from Katy emergency management officials this morning is really to stay off the roads. We've also been getting some reports from the Office of Emergency Management about some downed branches, as well as high water in places like you can see here. So just be careful in your neighborhood this morning if you are making the decision to get out. You can see this car right now turning around and I guess deciding to go through, but really that's unsafe, and it could be deeper than you realize before you decide to do that. Haley and Amy.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of watch it to see what happens here, because we are getting reports of some vehicles in water, like in the Richmond area. We're looking at, like you said, from the Office of Emergency Management, talking about downed trees, either roads shut down for a downed tree, like at 99 at River Park Drive. That's shut down for a downed tree. There's trees hanging or hitting power lines. So, yeah, Bryce, as you mentioned, that's really not a safe move to be out on the roads right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, and Haley, Amy, I'm not sure if you guys can tell from this spot. There's a gas station down in the distance, that Exxon, that I've been watching the power flicker. So that's something else that we continue to see in this area, where the power's flickering. We've seen some of those transformers blowing, and you can see now this banner. I mean, everything's really just whipping in the wind, along with all the rain that we're getting.
Absolutely. Bryce Newberry reporting live in Katy along Kingsland Boulevard. Thank you so much for that update this morning. Almost all of Harris County is currently in a flash flood warning, so it doesn't really matter where you are. You're seeing rain. You're going to continue to see rain for several hours, and that's why we are here showing you the conditions to try to keep everybody safe, and so you'll know what's happening in your neighborhood.
And the winds are knocking out, well, they're knocking down trees. It's knocking out power, so lights are probably not working in a lot of these areas, so really just safest to stay off of the roads for now.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to check in now with Robert Arnold. He is live in Lake Jackson, and that area, it looks like the wind has sort of calmed down from what it was the last time we saw you, Robert.
Yeah, and about the last 15 minutes, the winds have started to calm down slightly, and so has the rain. Most of the morning, we got into Lake Jackson about 3 this morning, and it has just been sheets of rain, really intense winds that have finally started to lessen just a little bit. That's why we're starting to see some cars out and about now. We're also starting to get a little bit of daylight through the area. However, I would not suggest getting out at this point, because you still have some good wind coming through the area. Plus, you can see you have down limbs everywhere. We're here at the police station in this area. That's the only reason we have any kind of light, is because it's on generators. We got the fire station across the street. The power went out, I'd say, shortly after we got into Lake Jackson, and it's just been pitch black everywhere except for these buildings, the police department and the fire department running on generators. We have seen tree limbs flying through here more and more. You have the large branches that have come down. There's going to be a lot more damage that we're going to be able to get a better focus on, a better handle on once we can get out and about. We've even heard on the roof of the police department building overnight, so we can't see exactly what hit it, but something large hit the roof here. We've also seen and heard some clanging, metal clanging on the water tower over there. It looks like one of the wire, or one of the beams, support cross beams, has snapped and is flapping across the way. I don't know if you can see it from this distance. So there is a lot of debris littering this area. So if you go out and about now, you're only asking for trouble. You're asking to run over a nail, a piece of metal, anything that can keep you disabled on the side of the road. And Beryl is not nearly finished with this area. We're still getting some good gusts through here, so it's still very dangerous. It's best to wait until the winds have really died down, and that's going to be a while before everything is really out of here, and it's going to be safe to get out and about. We haven't heard of any rescues, though, at this point. We've been checking with the firefighter across the street. They have not had to be called out on anything severe or any rescues. So far, that's good news at this point. But again, still too soon to be out on the roads. Reporting live from Lake Jackson, Robert Arnold, NBC News.
Yeah, Robert, that is good news, but we do see things still flying and whipping around him. So we know that the winds are fierce, even though it sounds like it's not as bad as it has been since you've been out there. So we'll let you get into a little bit of safety. As Robert was mentioning, he's saying that there are some people in that area that are on generator power right now. And we see that CenterPoint has just increased its customers affected by power outages, 966,465. So just as Justin's been saying all morning, he says by 8 a.m. we might see a million people without power.
When we were out here at 2:30 this morning, it was 21,000 customers without power, and now we're at 966,000. That is what Justin was saying with the wind.
Yeah.
We do have, I don't know if you have new news for us, but Bill Spencer is in Jamaica Beach, and we haven't seen him.
I was going to say, we haven't talked to Bill in a couple of hours here. Bill, oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, so Bill, give us an update since it's been a couple of hours since we talked to you. Power outages, what has the wind been like, and what are you seeing?
Yeah, we've had power outages. We've got power lines down all over the place. It's a fairly dangerous situation on the street that I'm on right now. We've got down power lines, but the big story is right here. Look at this. This is the roof that was ripped off about 20 minutes ago, completely torn off the home of Deborah Toney, who
No, it looks like
we lost him.
Yeah, it looks like we lost Bill here for a sec. That's okay. If you guys want to take me over at the chroma key here, I'll jump in where Bill was, and we'll kind of talk about that for just a second, exactly what we're seeing. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that. All right, so there's a live look at the Storm Tracker 2 live radar, and I'm going to put this into motion and get a sense of what we're seeing. Also, a couple of different things as well. If you look at the bottom of your screen, we have all of the closures for not only local ISDs, but of course for all of the colleges. So you saw Galveston College closed. Of course, Galveston ISD is closed today as well. Not only that, but Goose Creek, and you get the idea. So all of those are going to continue to run at the bottom of your screen. If you want to check more about the power outages, that QR code that you have at the bottom left-hand side of the screen, you can hit that with your phone camera. That'll take you to what the current power outages are. And as Amy and Haley were just mentioning a second ago, we're up to almost 1 million, and that may actually beat what I thought at 8 a.m. It may be more 7 a.m. when we're going to see that at this point. So let's get a quick look at what's happening with the radar here, and then we'll get over to meteorologist Caroline Brown. We're going to talk channel status as well, because we're starting to run into a few hot spots. So, all right, let's set the stage for what we're seeing out there right now. So most of what we've got, these are all flash flood warnings from Lake Jackson all the way up to the Woodlands. As I expected, they're going to continue to stack northward. These will expire, likely be replaced by aerial flood advisories, meaning that it's not as life-threatening as what we're seeing out there in some locations right now. But the center of the storm is right about here, right in between El Campo and Wharton. In fact, let me zoom this back out, and I'm going to put this in motion here over the last hour or so, because I want to show you what some of the conditions that the reporters have been in, especially some of the folks we've been talking to down around the coast. You saw our own Bill Spencer there a second ago over towards Jamaica Beach, where things are really starting, they're continuing, I should say, to be quite a mess. This is that rain band right there when we were talking to Owen Conflenti about 25 minutes ago. This was the rain band that was smashing in towards his location over at the convention center. And then, of course, earlier in the hour, talking to Gage Golding that's down there in Matagorda Bay. Thankfully, Gage is just about done with this. So if you are down across parts of Matagorda, if you're watching us from Palacios, Port Lavaca, all the way on down towards the barrier island here, probably another 30 minutes, and then I think things are going to start to improve. But you can see the back end of this, and not only that, but if you look at these rain bands right around the center, and Caroline was talking about this earlier this morning. It's these rain bands around the center, and you see the thunderstorms starting to develop with the lightning. It's an indication that there's some very strong convection sliding on the backside of this eye. Now, the eye itself is right here between Wharton and El Campo, kind of looking a little ragged in the center. But my guess is that folks that are in this location, right about where my hand is, between just south of Needville, probably not seeing as heavy of rain, and certainly not the wind that you were getting earlier. That is whatever's left of the eye at this point is right there. But just like what you saw a second ago with Gage, when we were talking to him, all all of this is going to have to slide through that area. So you're not out of it just yet. If it starts to back off and you think, okay, well, we're done, you're not. There's all of this backside of this storm system that is going to have to slide across that area. Of course, these flash flood warnings, they're out, including the one that we have here across almost all of Harris County. I mean, at this point, it's just Harris County. That goes until 9 o'clock this morning. And then, of course, the new one that we saw just a second ago, let me put a stop on that. That's up here across parts of the Woodlands, Bush Airport, into sections of southwestern Liberty County. That goes until 9:30. So all of these are continuing because of the heavy rain that we've seen out there, and not only the heavy rain, but including some of the wind gusts that have gotten rather strong. Some of the wind speeds that we have, and there's the center of it, and this is what I was saying just a second ago. 33-mile-an-hour sustained winds in El Campo, less than 20 as you get towards Bay City. So that's basically the difference of where the center of the storm is. And then on the whip side of that, 20 to 25 to 30 miles an hour towards Seadrift over to Palacios. And then all of this water and wind and waves starting to pile up in Galveston, where they're seeing winds sustained at around 30 miles an hour. And of course, some of the wind gusts, and this is where we're running into some of the damage issues that both Robert was just talking about, what Owen has been mentioning as well, and certainly some of the things that Bill and when we saw Bryce and Rilwan a second ago, some of the damage that we will likely start to see over the next 1 to 2 hours here across the greater Katy area, where the wind gusts are upwards of almost 30 miles an hour. Still tropical storm force winds in terms of the gusts from downtown Houston at 60, Anahuac, Galveston, Lake Jackson to Palacios, and out towards Seadrift as well. So all of that heavy rain that's been pushing on through is part of the reason why we have those flash flood warnings that are in place, and also one of the reasons why, as these bands continue to slide northward over the last hour or so, that's where we're running into a lot of the issues with these flash flood warnings, including this band here. Now, these eventually will start to slide off to the east as the storm itself lifts north. But in terms of lifting north right now, this is where we'll likely see our next flash flood warning. I wouldn't be shocked if it's up around Conroe, north of, let's say, Roman Forest, and maybe even extended a little further west of Katy, as some of the backside of this system, there could be some real wind damage right in across here from Columbus down to El Campo. I would not be shocked to see that. And then, of course, these flash flood warnings that you have across the city on down to Galveston are not going to go anywhere. They are all at least for the next 2 hours. And one of the reasons why is we're talking about 2 to 3, 4 inches of rain that's all falling in about an hour or so. And if there's that much rain falling on the ground, we're probably going to be dealing with some flood issues in terms of our channel status in some of the smaller creeks and bayous. Let's get over to Caroline now, who has been feverishly watching this over the last hour or so. Caroline, what's the latest?
Oh, Justin, every single time we check, we're seeing this continue to deteriorate. Our stream status is the further north you go, it's actually looking a little bit better. But if you get closer to the coast, this is where, especially around Pearland over towards Clear Lake, we've got a lot of yellow and a lot of reds. But then also, now look on the west side of town near Mission Bend and areas up by Memorial and Tanglewood. We're starting to see a lot of these channels go into the red. That means flooding is likely. So I wanted to show you a few that have just recently crested their bank. First, I want to show you South Maid at Greenhouse Road. The top of the bank, about 108 feet. The current level, 109. So our cross section showing it is at least 1 foot over its bank, and it's continuing to rise. That's the current trend, because over the last 3 hours, we've seen about 3 inches of rainfall. This is what we're seeing for a lot of our bayous and creeks. In fact, Keegan's Bayou at Rourke Road, this has also exceeded its bank by about 1 foot, and most of this has happened within the last 2 hours. So this is going to be the trend as we go forward. One thing that's not really not helping us is that we have such gusty winds that we've got debris all over the roads. That means it's clogging a lot of our drainage, so our roads are also flooding. So one thing you can do, if it's safe, if you're not seeing the intense winds, if you've got a flooded roadway and you can clear out that drainage ditch, it will do wonders. Radar is currently showing all of those flash flood warnings currently in place. Certainly heavy downpours, and I actually want to focus in on this area, this little area of rotation. I'm going to turn off our warnings because those boxes can get just a bit confusing there. But you can see this deep red color to purple just to the southeast of Fairchilds. This is likely where we are seeing just a tremendously heavy downpour. That's going to be from Day Road to Beard Road. And right here, blinding rain. This is the strongest rainfall we have across the area right now. And that's something we're going to be monitoring as we continue to go forward. Now, thankfully, right now, we're not seeing any tornado warnings, but that's going to be something we increasingly monitor as this lifts to the north, because the good news, it is moving. It's moving to the north at about 12 miles per hour. So what can we expect with the rest of the day? We're telling you to hunker down, but how long? Well, thankfully, not forever, but it is going to be for the rest of the morning today. In fact, as we go through the next few hours, this is going to be lifting to the north. So certainly by about 9, 10 a.m., the center of the circulation passing over I-10, Katy area, likely going to be seeing some intense winds. Remember, as this eye pushes its way across land, it doesn't immediately become a tropical storm. We will still see hurricane force winds towards the center as it drifts its way to the north. So by 11 a.m., still dealing with these outer rain bands. A lot of these will have the possibility of producing isolated spin-up tropical tornadoes. As we look ahead to 3 o'clock, still that rain really streaming up. You'll notice Madisonville and to the north. Now, at this point, you might think, okay, river levels will start to go down. But unfortunately, here in southeast Texas, any rainfall that happens to our north, gravity brings it back down towards the Gulf. So we're going to continue to see river swelling even after this moves to our north. Now, into the day tomorrow, we're going to be starting off mostly dry, but then into the afternoon, some pop-up showers and storms are possible. So additional rainfall really on the magnitude of 5 to 8 inches of rain here in Houston, an additional 7 inches possible. So widespread, we're talking 5 to 10 inches with isolated spots up to 13 inches of rain. This is why we've got a flood watch in place, and the radar showing with it all of our flood warnings.
Good morning. Thank you for spending your Monday with us, and we hope you had a great 4th of July holiday. I'm Savannah Sellers, and breaking overnight, landfall. Hurricane Beryl slamming into Texas's Gulf Coast as a massive Category 1 storm. Our meteorologist Angie Lastman has Beryl's latest track this morning as the scenes of devastation begin to pour in. Also this morning, President Biden back on the campaign trail amid growing appeals in Washington for him to step aside from his embattled re-election campaign. Mr. Biden remaining defiant over the weekend as even more House Democrats come forward voicing their concerns over his ability to lead. We will bring you the latest as calls for a Harris-led ticket gain traction among more top Democrats. New this morning, more turbulence for Boeing, the jet maker pleading guilty to a criminal fraud charge stemming from a string of fatal crashes involving its 737 MAX planes. Details on that new plea deal, the multi-million-dollar fine, and what comes next for a company under fire. And we've got some more potential good news for those Americans taking popular weight loss drugs like Ozempic, how they could actually lower your risk for cancers related to obesity. The doctor is in later in the hour. Once again, thanks for joining us. And we're going to start with the destruction from Hurricane Beryl that made landfall in southern Texas this morning as a Category 1 storm. More than 100,000 people have lost power in the state so far, and FEMA has already dispatched emergency responders, search and rescue teams, bottled water, and other resources to help local officials, according to the White House. NBC News correspondent Priscilla Thompson has the latest from Port Lavaca, Texas, where she and her crew are riding out the storm.
Well, Beryl made landfall just east of us, and the rain has been relentless for the past several hours. We're getting a brief break for now, but the wind gusts are still going. They came in clocking at nearly 90 miles per hour. But I will tell you this, these boats that have been tied down in this bay have managed to stay put. They are not strewn all across the docks, and that is a good sign despite those high wind gusts and the up to 7 feet of storm surge that was expected here here as now this storm is shifting and moving on.
This morning, Hurricane Beryl making landfall.
Wow, another big wave coming.
Bringing fierce rains, a dangerous storm surge, and fears of flooding. 80-mile-per-hour winds toppling trees and ripping through towns. The storm strengthening to a Category 1 overnight.
It will be a deadly storm for people who are directly in that path.
The center of the hurricane expected to pass just west of Houston later this morning as the wind, rain, and storm surge pummeling the coast moves inland. More than 120 counties now under a disaster declaration. For more than a week now, Beryl has been churning, the first hurricane of the season and the earliest Category 5 ever recorded in the Atlantic. Terrorizing the Caribbean, flattening homes, severing communications, and taking lives from Grenada to Jamaica.
There's almost complete destruction of homes and buildings on the island.
Now, as Beryl makes landfall in Texas, residents there hoping to avoid a similar fate.
I pray my community takes it seriously and boards up.
And Goldsby not alone, as cities across the coast board up, evacuate, and prepare for the worst.
What do you expect to come back to?
You just never know.
And this area lost power earlier today, now among the hundreds of thousands in the state of Texas without power. That number expected to grow as this storm continues to carve a path of destruction. Back to you.
All right, Priscilla, thank you very much. Stay safe. I'm joined now by the Emergency Management Coordinator for Houston, Thomas Munoz. Thomas, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. So tell us, how bad is it right now? What are you seeing on the ground in Houston as day breaks?
Well, it is bad. We do have approximately 1 million customers without electricity right now in the Houston area. Obviously, some street flooding. The situation's gotten bad through the night. That was expected. We have been planning for the last 3 days. We do have all our stakeholders here, our first responders, so we're working together to ensure the safety of everyone.
And we know Houston's no stranger necessarily to hurricanes, to bad weather like this. Hurricane Harvey back in 2017, that was a Category 4 storm, in fact, when it made landfall. Beryl, not quite that strong, but tell us about how you were able to prepare, what lessons you had learned, and how it's looking right now responding to these emergencies.
So, we have already placed all our high water vehicles, our rescue assets strategically throughout the city. We've been in contact with the vulnerable populations. We're sending out our messages. So we're keeping an eye on those areas as well. But, like I said, we've already been preparing for the last 3 to 4 days. We're monitoring the situation, and now we're just looking at, what are the rescues that we're going to have to do. But all our stakeholders are on the house, and we are working throughout the day and have been working out throughout the night to ensure the safety of everyone.
What is your message to residents as the worst of the storm gets closer? What are you expecting in the coming hours, and what do you need people to do to stay safe?
Well, definitely stay home. Don't get into roads. We're monitoring the situation. We're aware of what's happening. But the best advice we want to give people: stay inside your homes. Don't get on the roads if you don't have to. And we just to assure them that we are working towards their safety and then rescue operations if needed.
Tom Munoz, thank you very much for joining us this morning. We know it's a busy one. Stay safe. Well, for more on the latest as Hurricane Beryl makes landfall, let's take a look at your Morning News Now weather forecast. Angie Lastman is back with us this hour. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. We've got an update from the National Hurricane Center. Now, impact's not going to change from what we've been telling you all morning long, really for the past 24 to 48 hours. Those are going to stay the same, but just some minor changes. We've seen the winds come down 75 miles per hour, still maintaining Category 1 hurricane strength. It's on the low end, and we'll likely see this become a tropical storm and kind of continue to weaken as the day goes on. That doesn't change the fact that we've still got plenty more rain on the way. We're still dealing with some strong winds out there. We've still got folks along the coast that went through one part of the eye wall. They have to go through the backside of that eye wall as well. That's happening right now. Places like Matagorda, where we did see that landfall earlier this morning. The system's going to continue moving north. Notice that puts the center just to the west of downtown Houston. So the Houston metro area going to see some of these impacts worsen and continue conditions continue to deteriorate as we get farther along through the morning hours. But that's the latest as far as that update. Now, let's look at exactly what's happening in some of these areas. We've got really heavy rain stretched across places like Galveston. We've got some heavy rain across Houston. Again, more of that rain is going to be lifting to the north. So we're going to turn our attention as the morning goes on to that inland flooding. And on top of that, the tornado threat. You can see we've already had some tornado reports across this region, plenty of tornado warnings. When we have a system coming on shore, there's already circulation in the atmosphere, right? Because of how this hurricane is moving. Now, that also leaves us with the potential, a good potential, to see some of these little spin-ups, these isolated tornadoes develop. It's not hard. We see this oftentimes with tropical systems, and this is what we're going to be watching through the morning hours into early afternoon across some of these spots. We've had tornado watches in effect all morning long, so on top of the heavy rain, it's also the tornadoes that we're closely watching. The rainfall, again, is going to be mostly inland that we're going to be concerned about, but it really depends on where we see some of these tropical, really intense tropical bands setting up. If we see them over the same area for prolonged periods, again, not hard for us to see some of that flooding. Amounts anywhere from 5 to 10 inches of rain, where we've already seen some spots picking up 4 to 5, even 6 inches of rain in the past 24 hours. So additional rainfall is expected. I think the max amount would probably be 15 inches, but over a foot of rain is definitely possible when we see this. And notice it goes all the way up into the Midwest, because we do have the potential to see that system, yes, weaken, but also continue to impact folks across parts of Arkansas, Tennessee Valley, the Missouri Valley, and then up into portions of the Midwest as the week goes on. So even by midweek. There's the flood alerts that are up right now. We've seen the flash flood warnings expand as the morning went on. It does include the Houston metro area. That is, of course, an area we're always concerned about when we have significant rainfall. We know it doesn't take much to see some flooding there. When it comes to the strongest wind gusts, we've seen some impressive stuff, especially the closer to the coast that you go. Freeport coming in 92 miles per hour. That's a peak wind gust. That is not the winds that we're seeing right now in that area, but still hurricane force winds from Matagorda Bay to Matagorda Beach into Palacios, as well as Freeport. These are all spots that we saw the strongest of the winds. But Houston, note, not far from those hurricane force winds. We're coming in at 69 miles per hour for the peak wind gusts so far this morning. Still a potential to see some of these stronger wind gusts as the morning goes on, especially as that center gets a little closer to Houston. We're talking upper 80s, maybe mid 80s for wind gust peaks as the day goes on. So not a surprise if there's downed trees out there. We've already heard about the power outages. Those will likely continue through the day today, and we'll be watching for those conditions to deteriorate as the system moves to the north. Storm surge, it's been impressive, especially along and kind of east of that area that we saw the system come on shore. So Matagorda to points east of that, Brazosport, all of these places, really impressive storm surge. About 4 feet is what we came up to Matagorda, at the mouth of Matagorda Bay. So we'll be watching for all of those things to continue to develop. But meanwhile, we've also got a historic heat wave happening out west. Don't forget about this. This high pressure is going to be in place through the end of the week, and we've got plenty more records that are going to be possible for us to break across the west. We've seen plenty of them in the past few days, and unfortunately, there's not a whole lot in the way of relief coming for folks in this area. We've got 119 across the board today through Wednesday in Palm Springs. Las Vegas is expected to stay above 115 through the middle of the week, Savannah, and that goes for Phoenix as well. Just really oppressive heat, uncomfortable conditions. Hopefully, folks can find a cool spot and make good use of air conditioning and shade.
Absolutely. Stay safe at 119. Wow. All right,
Brutal.
Angie, thank you so much. You're tracking a lot for us. Let's turn to politics now. More House Democrats are calling for President Biden to step aside after his widely criticized debate performance against former President Trump. Some are now discussing whether Vice President Kamala Harris should lead the ticket. NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez joins us from Washington on this. Hey, Gabe, good morning.
Hey there, Savannah. Good morning. President Biden, the man who once embodied the Democratic establishment, now finds himself fighting it. His campaign is ramping up his travel to convince his critics and voters that he still can do the job. But with lawmakers returning to Capitol Hill today after the holiday, the drumbeat is growing louder. This morning, the pressure on President Biden intensifying as Democrats on Capitol Hill grow increasingly anxious about his campaign in the wake of that debate performance. At least 4 more House Democrats now say they believe the president should leave the race, bringing the total to at least 9. The president defiant, campaigning in battleground Pennsylvania and joking about his age.
Folks, I know With every fiber of my being, I know I won't look like I'm 40 years old, but I've been around a little bit.
The four lawmakers made the comments during a virtual meeting held by House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries. Multiple people on the call tell NBC News. The Biden campaign points out that other lawmakers, including some from the Congressional Black Caucus, are forcefully defending the president.
I'm supporting him, and I do believe he is the best person for the job.
The president, in an ABC News interview Friday, asked how he would feel if he stayed in the race and former President Trump won.
I feel as long as I gave it my all and I did the goodest job as I know I can do.
Democrats responding.
That is the answer that most concerned me as well. This is not just about whether he gave it the best college try, but rather whether he made the right decision to run or to pass the torch.
While allies push for President Biden to answer voter questions.
The clock is ticking. This is going to be a really important and vital week.
Vice President Kamala Harris on offense at the Essence Festival in New Orleans, blasting former President Trump.
You have the former president who is running to become president again, who has openly talked about his admiration of dictators and his intention to be a dictator on day one.
Some Democrats now wondering whether the vice president should lead the ticket.
Could she win overwhelmingly, Congressman?
I think she very well could win overwhelmingly.
President Biden faces several critical tests this week. He'll be on the world stage meeting with global leaders at the NATO summit here in D.C. He's also scheduled to hold a rare solo press conference on Thursday and then travel to Battleground, Michigan on Friday. Savannah?
All right, Gabe Gutierrez, thank you very much. Well, this morning, dozens of Palestinians are feared dead after Israeli forces launched a major attack on Gaza City. The assault comes amid renewed optimism for a ceasefire hostage deal after Hamas accepted a key part of a U.S. proposal. But Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says any deal must allow Israel to continue fighting until its objectives are met. NBC News international correspondent Matt Bradley joins us now from Tel Aviv. Matt?
Hey, good morning, Savannah. So as you mentioned, those negotiations, they could be back on, and a senior administration official has told NBC News that it looks as though Hamas has budged a little bit. As you mentioned, this could open a wide opening for some of those talks to resume. We're hearing that the CIA chief is headed to Cairo and then to Doha this week for more of those talks.
Today, a renewed burst of optimism. Hamas has softened its stance, a senior American official said, signaling it may free some hostages without a permanent ceasefire, something it had adamantly demanded. American diplomats told NBC News that Hamas compromised after Israel invaded the southern city of Rafah. Last week, the Israeli military brought a group of foreign reporters to Rafah. Israeli censors reviewed all of this footage. Rafah is now a ghost town, leveled by fighting and reclaimed by sand. The city is completely unrecognizable, and it was only a couple of months ago that this was really considered the last safe haven for Palestinians. Here, there's still a lot of shooting that's going on here. The IDF showed us videos of what they said were booby-trapped homes. They said these barrels were filled with explosives triggered by remote control. The IDF edited these videos, and NBC News has not verified their authenticity. They also highlighted extensive tunnels the IDF says have helped supply Hamas for years.
Where all the tunnels were, where all the booby-trapped houses were, this area looks more as a distraction because of Hamas.
For months, Israel's military have said they've entered a new, less intensive phase of the fight here, that they would focus on surgical strikes instead of expansive assaults. But for Gazan civilians, the death toll is still climbing.
And Savannah, despite all that optimism from Washington about a renewed deal, for Benjamin Netanyahu, some of his far right-wing ministers have threatened to quit the government if he ends the war in Gaza without completely destroying Hamas. So he's facing a lot of pressure. It's not just from the Hamas side. Savannah?
All right, Matt Bradley, thank you very much. Well, back here in the States overnight, we learned Boeing is pleading guilty to a fraud charge. The plane maker will have to pay a nearly $250 million fine in a deal with the Justice Department. This deal stems from two deadly 737 MAX crashes back in 2018 and 2019. NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello covers aviation and joins us with the latest. Hi, Tom. Good morning.
Hey, Savannah, so back in 2021, the Justice Department agreed to defer criminal prosecution against Boeing for misleading the FAA if it agreed to undertake structural reforms and report honestly to regulators. Now DOJ says Boeing's track record proves it violated that agreement. So rather than face trial, Boeing has now agreed to this plea deal. More than 5 years after 2 fatal MAX 8 crashes overseas killed 346 people, this morning Boeing has agreed to plead guilty to a single felony charge related to the crashes. That charge, conspiring to defraud the federal government. Boeing confirmed overnight it had reached the plea deal with the Justice Department. The deal already, though, drawing reaction.
Victim families feel like Boeing is getting off easy.
Court documents indicate Boeing would pay an additional $235 million fine and be required to invest more than $455 million in compliance and safety programs. What the plea deal does not demand is legal accountability for the many lives lost. A faulty flight control system called MCAS was implicated in both deadly crashes. A multi-billion-dollar settlement in 2021 allowed Boeing to avoid prosecution, but last month prosecutors accused the company of breaching that agreement. Overnight, pushback came swiftly from the victims' families who had chanted shame at the CEO, and their lawyers blasted what they call a sweetheart deal.
346 people died in those 2 crashes. Therefore, a plea to manslaughter would be more fitting.
Boeing has come under increased scrutiny following a series of mishaps, including a door panel that blew off an Alaska Airlines MAX 9 flight mid-flight. For its part, Boeing has committed to changes from the boardroom to the assembly line.
We have tried to look at literally everything we do to make certain that that can never happen again.
But those promises ring hollow for the grieving relatives who are calling for even more action.
I think that when people are not held accountable, you're setting a standard of what you can get away with.
Yeah, the families of those who died have filed an objection with the court overseeing this case. They want a judge to reject this plea deal out of hand. Back to you.
Okay, Tom, thank you so much. We've got much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including how those popular weight loss drugs, like Ozempic and Wegovy, could help prevent some types of cancers. But first, right after the break, nearly 3 years after that fatal shooting on the set of that movie Rust, actor Alec Baldwin is set to stand trial in a New Mexico courtroom this week. We are breaking down the charges against him and what we can expect when he faces the judge. Up next. Welcome back. Alec Baldwin's criminal trial begins this week in New Mexico. The actor is charged with involuntary manslaughter over the killing of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins back in 2021. Baldwin faces up to 18 months in jail if convicted. NBC News correspondent Chloe Malas is covering the trial. She joins us from Santa Fe. Hey, Chloe, good morning. What can we expect?
Good morning. Well, this trial is expected to last about 2 weeks, and the prosecutors, they're going to try to prove that Alec Baldwin had some sort of responsibility to make sure that that gun on that fateful day in October of 2021 was not loaded with a live round of ammunition and that he never should have pointed the gun at Halyna Hutchins in the first place.
Nearly 3 years after the fatal shooting on the set of Rust, the film star and producer Alec Baldwin will face criminal charges in a Santa Fe, New Mexico court.
Are you doing okay? No, I'm not, actually.
The case centers around Baldwin, who was holding a prop gun which fired a live round of ammunition during a rehearsal on the Western film set in 2021. The incident killing cinematographer Halyna Hutchins and wounding director Joel Souza.
I was the one holding the gun, yeah.
The actor is charged with 1 count of involuntary manslaughter and faces up to 18 months in jail if found guilty. New Mexico prosecutors will lay out how they believe Baldwin was reckless with safety standards on the set. But in interviews, Baldwin has maintained that the gun malfunctioned.
The trigger wasn't pulled. I didn't pull the trigger. I feel that someone is responsible for what happened, and I can't say who that is, but I know it's not me.
Prosecutors say a subsequent gun analysis report that they commissioned found that the gun was functioning properly and could not have gone off without Baldwin pulling the trigger. Hutchins' husband, Matt Hutchins, telling Hoda in 2022 that he believes Baldwin's actions led to Halyna's death.
The idea that the person holding the gun, causing it to discharge, is not responsible is absurd to me.
Baldwin has repeatedly denied any wrongdoing. Later that year, Hutchins announced that he settled a civil suit against Baldwin and other Rust producers and would serve as an executive producer on the film, which wrapped filming last spring.
We find the defendant, Hannah Gutierrez, guilty.
Baldwin's trial coming 4 months after the film's armorer, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, was found guilty of the same charge and is serving her 18 months behind bars.
I can't believe Alec Baldwin was holding the gun.
Hannah Gutierrez-Reed is expected to be called to testify by the prosecution, although she said in a pretrial interview she did not want to cooperate and take the stand.
Savannah, in just a few hours, there's actually going to be a hearing in this courthouse behind me here in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where the judge is expected to rule on certain testimony, witness testimony, if that can be admitted into the trial, and certain evidence regarding Alec Baldwin's role as a producer on the set of Rust. Remember, he starred in the movie, but he was also a producer on the film as well. And also, the big question remains, will Baldwin take the stand? NBC News, we've reached out to his legal team for comment, but it doesn't look like maybe a decision has been made just yet. And like I said, this trial is expected to last about 2 weeks, so it might be a game time decision that they make, Savannah.
All right, Chloe Malas, thank you very much. Let's get you international headlines now. Gridlock in France after a stunning second round of parliamentary elections. Claudia Lavanga joins us from Rome with that and more. Hey, Claudia, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. Well, it looks like that the French President Emmanuel Macron's big political gamble in the end actually paid off. Only last week, after the first round of voting, the right-wing populist National Rally was well ahead, and it looked like on course to win this election. Well, after the second round of voting on Sunday, it turns out that a political coalition from the opposite spectrum, the leftist New Popular Front, pulled off a surprise victory, and the National Rally ended up arriving third, even behind Emmanuel Macron's centrist coalition. Now, this was mainly due to a sort of firewall parties from the left and center raised against the far right by endorsing each other's candidates by pulling from the second round the ones who received the less votes. Now, it worked because the National Rally was contained, but the result risks to plunge French politics into chaos. The Prime Minister has offered his resignation, and the result will likely lead to a hung parliament and political uncertainty. Let's go to Russia now, where India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived on Monday for a 2-day visit. Modi will meet President Vladimir Putin for the first time since 2019. After Russia's invasion of Ukraine, India has become one of Russia's main buyers of Russian oil following sanctions imposed by Western allies, strengthening the relationship between the two countries. On the same day, Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban, who met with Putin in Russia last week, is in China to meet President Xi Jinping on the third leg of what he called a peace mission he has undertaken without the backing of the European Commission or Ukraine. And let's end this tour of the world in Sicily, where the worst drought in the islands in the past 20 years, actually, is threatening its economy and tourist season. The drought is drying up lakes and prompting officials to introduce strict water rationing, with residents and tourists asked to cap their water use by as much as 45%. Now, according to CNN, some hotels are turning away guests because they cannot guarantee showers will run or toilets will flush. Hopefully, they'll sort that problem out very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Claudia, thank you so much. Coming up, more potential good news for people taking those popular weight loss drugs after the break, how they could actually lower a patient's risk for some cancers linked to obesity. The doctor is in up next. We're back now with another potential positive side effect of those popular weight loss drugs. A new study has shown that the new class of drugs could reduce the cases of 10 different obesity-related cancers. NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel joins us with more. Hi, Dr. Patel. Good morning. So what are some of the big takeaways from the study?
Yeah, Savannah, this was a huge study done that was looking at over 15 years of electronic health records of over 1.3 million diabetic patients. So this is a lot of patients. And they compared people who are on the glucagon-like peptide agonist, GLP-1 agonist. This was not Ozempic, as was done before Ozempic was out, but other drugs like Ozempic, compared to insulin, compared to metformin. And those who took the GLP-1s had, and as you mentioned, 10 out of 13 obesity-associated cancers that were reduced. This included esophageal, colon cancer, endometrial, gallbladder, and a number of others as well. So big, statistically significant, and important for this class of drugs.
Though, right, to point out that not all cancer risks were reduced?
That's right. They found no significant reduction for postmenopausal breast cancer and thyroid cancer. So I think this just opens up that there needs to be some exploratory studies to understand, did they need treatment earlier? Was there any effect size? But still a pretty important study that highlights the risks of obesity with cancer and treatment of that obesity, particularly in type 2 diabetics. Let me stress, they did not look at anyone using it just for weight loss. I imagine that's the next frontier of research.
Yeah, what do you think? I mean, could we expect the same on that front? And I mean, there are also people who are taking it for weight loss who are maybe not even close to that obesity threshold. Is there some other type of cancer benefit generally here?
Yeah, Savannah, those are important questions. And I think we already have some data to show that when you do intensive lifestyle kind of interventions for weight loss, so think exercise, nutrition combined with therapy, and then also looking at patients with bariatric surgery, that we also see this effect. But this was an even stronger effect. So I think the next kind of phase of research is to understand, why is this happening? Number two, to your point, could this be happening in people who are not diabetic? And then I think three, still to date, there is no data of any health benefits in people who are not necessarily obese or overweight. So I think, again, we're seeing that this is not a set of drugs. And again, risks, we've talked about risks before. These are not drugs without risks either. So this is not meant for people, I think, who are just trying to lose 5 to 10 pounds. This is really meant for people who are medically obese.
Dr. Kavita Patel, thank you so much. Really interesting stuff. Well, let's stay on your health. A growing number of states are banning a drug known as gas station heroin. Even though it can be addictive and even deadly, it's still sold across the country. NBC News medical fellow Dr. Akshay Syal breaks down what you need to know.
Tracy Morrison is living every mother's worst nightmare.
I went up the stairs, and when I got there, my husband opened the door, and he pushed me back, and he said, "I'm so sorry." But he's gone, and I didn't believe him. I kind of pushed on through the door, and we found Christopher laying on a bed. I told him I loved him, and I prayed over him, and I gave him back to God.
Her 29-year-old son, Christopher, died from an overdose around 1 year ago. She says the only thing doctors found in his system was a drug called tianeptine that people can easily get at some gas stations, convenience stores, and smoke shops across the country. Some call it gas station heroin because of its similar effect on the brain. Tianeptine is approved as an antidepressant in other countries, but it is not approved for medical use here in the U.S.
How is tianeptine getting from other countries into our gas stations?
There is many levels of secrecy that's involved. We can make educated guesses that it's approved for uses in other countries, so it's probably coming from there. It could be synthesized here in America as well.
It's among a growing class of potentially addictive products, including kratom and phenibut, available at gas stations, convenience stores, and marketed as dietary supplements to bypass strict FDA regulations.
Dietary supplements are supposed to be things like vitamins and minerals and botanicals. But interestingly, over the last decade, we've seen drug after drug arrive in the United States, sold directly to consumer, as if it's a dietary supplement.
The FDA doesn't approve dietary supplements before they're marketed, so it often doesn't know when new products come out.
FDA has just no idea what's on the market, so they can't comb these gas stations, they can't comb these vape shops.
This year, the FDA put out an alert warning people not to buy or use tianeptine because of, quote, serious risks. Calls to poison control centers have skyrocketed in the last decade. The FDA declined to comment beyond what's on its website. It says at least 15 states have restrictions on tianeptine, including Florida, Alabama, and Tennessee. But it may not be enough.
Congress needs to pass significant reforms to dietary supplement law and provide FDA with a lot more funding to be able to go after these dietary supplements.
Without this change, researchers say people are flying blind, and it can come at a deadly cost.
Christopher was the funniest kid you'll ever meet, the sweetest, most kind person you would ever meet.
Her son's death, a call to action.
Call your representatives, call your senators. I mean, you don't want this in your state. Nobody should have to go through the things that we've gone through.
Our thanks to Dr. Akshay Syal for that report. Well, members of Congress have also introduced a bipartisan bill to classify this drug as a controlled substance. If passed, the bill would make it illegal to access the drug without a prescription. Coming up, looking to tie the knot but don't want to shell out all that I-do dough? Well, there is a new trend for so-called micro weddings, which are seeing couples' big days get smaller. We're going to talk through it all with our expert up next. Welcome back. Wall Street is waiting for a key inflation report out this week, which could reveal more clues about the state of the economy and how soon the Federal Reserve could cut interest rates. On Friday, the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ rallied to all-time highs after new employment data revealed the U.S. economy added 206,000 jobs in June. We've got NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans with us this morning with more. Hi, Christine. Good morning. Seems like some exciting indicators going on here this week.
There's a lot happening.
Yeah, a lot happening. Let's start with understanding why did the stock set so high? It's great news, but why?
So the stock market reflects conditions for companies and for their corporate profits. And it has been a fantastic year, a fantastic couple of years for companies. There's the AI craze, artificial intelligence. That's been driving a lot of the tech excitement in the stock market. But overall, conditions are good for companies. They are making money. They are weathering higher inflation, and they are able to pass some of those costs on to their customers. And so their profits are doing well. And so that's what you're seeing reflected in the stock market, along with the expectation that at some point here, the Federal Reserve will be able to take its foot off the brake in terms of lowering interest rates.
And one of the things that we have been looking at to see why are we stuck with them not cutting it is that inflation rate that kind of seems stuck. Yeah. Thursday, we're going to get some insight there. What are you going to be looking for?
That's the Consumer Price Index, CPI. It's something most people don't even care about or think about, except over the past couple of years when that number got all the way up to 9%. Now it's more in the 3% range. Will it continue to get down to what the Fed would like to see, closer to 2%? We're expecting some cooling on the inflation front again this week. So that inflation number will be highly, highly watched for everybody on Wall Street.
Absolutely. So then walk us through, once we get that number, what could that mean for the Fed? When could we see those rates cut?
So you're starting to see signs of cooling in what has been a red-hot American economy. The U.S. economy, despite what people tell pollsters, the U.S. economy has been doing very, very well, even with all of those interest rate hikes there on your screen. But it's starting to slow a little bit, cool a little bit, I would say. Still strong, still sturdy, still robust, but not overheated. And that means maybe eventually the Fed will be able to start to take its foot off the brake and actually lower interest rates, maybe 25 basis points in September. We'll know more this week when we get more of that inflation data.
So what does this mean for the average person at home for their wallet? Is good news right now when we hear the economy maybe cools? Does that mean bad news? What does this mean?
So it is a really good position if you have money in the stock market, any kind of money in the stock market, in a 401k. If you have a brokerage account, you've done very well. 16% is the return so far this year in the S&P 500. The S&P is up, which is typically what most people, it reflects what most people have in their stock part of their 401k. But since 2017, the S&P is up 140%. That is amazing. So if you have skin in the game in the stock market, that's great. Going into the fall, however, the slowing means maybe the Fed will be able to lower interest rates, and that will be better if you're borrowing money for a car loan, for a home loan, if you're borrowing money on a credit card. Credit card interest rates are terrible right now. So if you're borrowing money today, and this average family, be very careful of borrowed money today. It's still very expensive.
All right, Christine Romans, big week ahead. Thank you so much. Lots to watch out for. Well, let's stay on money news. A new chapter for one of Hollywood's oldest studios, Paramount, has agreed to merge with production company Skydance. CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with that and more. Hey, Silvana.
Hey, Savannah, good morning to you. Yep, so Paramount Global agrees to merge with production company Skydance Media, opening a new chapter for the Hollywood studio. The deal, which was approved by a special committee of Paramount board members, will see Skydance by Paramount's controlling shareholder, National Amusements. It will then merge Skydance with Paramount. Now, the move ends a nearly 4-decade run by the Redstone family as power players in the media industry. Siri is expected to get several improvements next spring. Bloomberg reports that's when Apple will make its Apple Intelligence AI system available to everyone through an update to iOS 18. Now, Apple typically rolls out new features slowly across its operating system, and it's possible Siri will be able to perform functions such as finding your ID in your photo library and copying your driver's license number to enter into online forms. It may also be able to offer basic tech support, but may not be ready to create AI-generated emojis or offer writing assistance just yet. And NASCAR goes electric. The racing circuit unveiling its first electric prototype at the Chicago street race this weekend. The $1.5 million car has 3 electric motors and can generate 1,000 kilowatts at peak power. NASCAR's future plans include adding EV charging stations and switching to 100% renewable energy at its racetracks by 2028, Savannah.
Very cool. Silvana, thank you so much.
You got it.
Well, they say love don't cost a thing, but that's not quite the case, right? For couples are planning to get married. According to a study by The Knot, the combined average cost of a wedding ceremony and a reception last year was $35,000. Well, now experts are noticing a rise in something called a micro wedding. It's to help lovebirds cut costs for their big day. We are joined by Tracy Taylor Ward. She's a global event planner and the owner and creative director of Tracy Taylor Ward Design. Tracy, good morning. Thanks very much for being here. So first, let's just start with what makes something a micro wedding versus somebody who elopes or somebody who just has just family, something like that.
That's a great question. So a micro wedding is typically considered to be when you have somewhere between 10 and 50 guests, and you're still looking for all of the traditional elements that a larger wedding would have. Conversely, an elopement is usually when it's just the couple and their witnesses that are there, and a mini-moni is usually when it's just focused on the ceremony itself, and sometimes they have receptions at a later date.
And what kind of cost difference are we talking about here if you scale this down to 10 to 50 guests?
So what's interesting is when we think about budgets, we actually think about how much you're spending in total divided by the number of guests you have attending. So obviously, if you're cutting your guest list down dramatically, you are going to be spending less overall. But ironically, you are spending a lot more per person when you have a smaller wedding.
That's pretty interesting. What are the biggest factors that make weddings so expensive these days? Is it flowers? Is it photography? What racks these bills up so high?
So it is the catering costs for sure, but also the venue fees. Typically, those two things together can be about 30% of your total spend, which takes up a lot of the budget. But then decor and production is your next biggest expense. I think a lot of people forget that you have rental costs and lighting costs, and you have florals and centerpieces and things that do scale up as the guest count grows, or conversely, they shrink as the guest count comes down.
How would you advise someone who's maybe torn, right? Okay, do I want to maybe scale back but keep that guest list large and not do some of the bells and whistles and then kind of keep the number low? Or no, I want everything I want and less people are going to be there to enjoy it. How do you decide?
I think that's a really tricky question. And honestly, it takes a lot of conversations with family members, looking at the guest count and seeing who you can realistically cut without being super offensive. But I think for some couples, if they know that they have kind of expensive taste or they have this vision for what they wanted and they thought it was going to cost X, but now due to inflation, it's costing significantly more, they're in a position where if they're able to cut their head count, they could still have all the things that they're looking for while keeping it in the budget that they're comfortable with.
What are just some general tips for budget-friendly kind of wedding? Just for example, at my own wedding, one thing that I did was we hardly did any flowers at all, actually, because that was just such a big expense that it just felt sort of silly to me. And my dinner just had a ton of candles in it, which is way cheaper than flowers. Are there any little tricks that you have up your sleeve like that when you want to cut costs for couples?
Absolutely. So for one thing, when it comes to photo video packages, for photographers, sometimes you can cut out the album or an engagement shoot, and that will keep costs down. From a floral and decor production standpoint, it's actually more economical to choose one type of flower and do it in mass than to have a lot of different types of flowers on the tables. So it can also create more drama that way. What you did was super smart by having candles on the tables. That's a beautiful approach, and more candle is always more magical. And then music is a really big thing. So you want to have a proportionate number of band members or musicians to your guest count. So with a smaller wedding, you can get away with just having a DJ and 2 to 3 musicians, as opposed to with a large wedding, you're probably going to want to have a band that's 8+ people.
Very interesting. How popular would you say this is that people are doing these micro weddings? I mean, as somebody who plans them, how often are you seeing a guest list smaller than they used to be?
So it became a lot more popular during the pandemic for obvious reasons because of health safety. But what's interesting is that it has remained very popular, and destination weddings in particular, as you did, are still very popular. We're actually working on a wedding right now for 20 people in Provence, and it's going to be beautiful. It's this September. And we have a lot of inquiries coming in for those. So I'd say it's about a 50-50 split, and they're really intentional and intimate, and you get to spend so much more quality time with your guests. So I think it's definitely on the rise and here to stay.
Tracy Taylor Ward, thank you so much for talking us through this one. Super interesting.
Thanks so much.
Well, for many people, traveling with pets means adding unwanted stress to a trip, right? Well, now there's a new airline helping pet owners embark, get it, on their next adventure in style. Bark Air is a first-of-its-kind plane that's giving man's best friend a first-class experience in the skies. NBC News correspondent Maura Barrett got a tour of that plane and brings us an inside look.
Anyone with a pup as part of their family knows flying with your dog can be a rough ride.
Hi.
The CEO of Bark Air, the first ever airline catered to dogs, knows that a little too well.
Today I'm going to fly like a dog in a crate.
How do you feel about a 4-hour flight?
I don't feel good about the next 4 minutes in this.
The new airline's motto is dogs fly first, and they mean it. That's why Bowie and I decided to check it out.
Oh, good job. From the minute you make the booking, everything is about the dog.
Catherine Enos is the chief of staff who curates the VIP experience for dogs like Bowie.
Everything is thought of for the dog. You know, we have the water bowls, we have a whole selection of Bark kind of goodies over there. We have a whole doggy fine dining menu where you can choose from doggy champagne or a Barcacino or a bunch of different fine dining treats for the pups. Did someone order doggy champagne?
Talk about bon appetit.
You ready?
As for the other amenities, or amenities as they call them, Bowie barked yes to the pup freshen up spa service and made his way up to the cockpit to visit the pilot. The first flight took off in May, the airline initially only offering routes from New York to LA or London. Now they've already expanded to 5 more cities, with more in the works. A ticket, though, for each dog and their human will take a bite out of your wallet, starting at $6,000.
This experience is something that I'm sure every dog owner would be super excited about, but the cost factor is kind of prohibitive.
Like anything, the longer it's around, the more common it is. The prices should lower. We'll be able to take on more risk as a business.
Some of that cost goes towards the experience leading up to the flight, and after as well.
We didn't want to fly you to a destination and then say you're on your own from here on. So we do a complimentary car service up to 30-mile radius.
And for those looking to take dog walks across the pond, Bark Air takes care of all the international paperwork too.
Yeah, we're really just trying to take the stress out of it.
The sky used to be the limit when it came to pet-friendly travel, but now it seems anything is possible.
First, I have to give a big special thank you to our colleague Kate Snow for letting us borrow her perfect pup Bowie to come and do this story with me. But look, this isn't going to be an option for everyone, even with the business plan, the models to scale down costs in the near future. But there are ways to commercially travel with your dog right now. If it's a smaller dog, it's a little easier because you can just put them in a carrier, slide them under the seat. With a bigger dog, you have to buy a second seat, and there are pet fees often involved. Those costs do add up, but not all the way to $6,000 like we saw there. And so doing this story shows now more than ever, people are really holding their pets closer to their hearts, and it's all exemplified in this desire to travel with them. Back to you.
Right, Maura Barrett, thank you so much. Well, coming up, returning to Earth without ever leaving. After the break, more on the 4 NASA volunteers who just emerged from a year-long experiment locked in, looking to better understand life on Mars. What they learned in the process up next. We are back, and so is a NASA crew after a mission that was out of this world, sort of. 4 volunteer crew members re-emerged over the weekend after spending more than a year inside NASA's first simulated Mars environment in Houston. It was nearly a year-long voyage that never left the ground. The quartet climbed inside the 1,700-square-foot 3D printed habitat last year in June, and they spent the time working through challenges future astronauts might actually face on the red planet, like harvesting vegetables, communication delays with Earth, even Mars walks. NASA says this is the first of 3 missions planned to test how humans respond to these conditions. They also say that astronauts could go to the real Mars as soon as the 2030s. So stay tuned. If all goes well, in about 6 or so years, we will be here to cover it for you. We know we love a space story. We're going to end this hour with a look at the community that answered the call to honor a U.S. Marine Corps veteran who many didn't even know. Here's NBC News Now anchor Gotti Schwartz with more on the touching gesture from hundreds of strangers.
There's a saying in the military, leave no one behind. It's part of a soldier's commitment to service and sacrifice. That's why when 86-year-old U.S. Marine Corps veteran Gary Brooks passed away alone recently and no kin came forward, the Riposta Funeral Home in Belfast, Maine posted a notice in the newspaper reading, if you would like to assist with being a pallbearer or simply attend, please contact the funeral home.
There have been tears shed for this man.
And on the day they laid Gary to rest, a surprise. More than 500 strangers showed up at the Maine Veterans Memorial Cemetery in Augusta to say goodbye.
People came from everywhere.
Jim Roberts from the Veterans of Foreign Wars, along with funeral director Katie Riposta, helped arrange this service with military honors.
What was it like, that moment that you saw hundreds of people showing up to honor him?
It's an overwhelming feeling of just patriotism, and it just, the respect that everyone was there showing is overwhelming.
Everybody just wanted to be part of something that was spectacular, something that was awesome in honoring Gary.
They came out in sweltering heat to remember a man they'd never met. Dozens from military motorcycle clubs, others stepping up with a 21-gun salute, and even a flyover.
So many people willing to show that no soldier should be left behind.
It is absolutely unifying.
Unifying and healing, too, for the few who did know Gary, like Victoria Abbott from the soup kitchen, where he used to spend time.
He always had a smile on his face. It was remarkable how many people came out to honor a man who really, in our little world, was bigger than life.
The service, a touching tribute to a fallen veteran.
How did this experience impact you?
It's heartening, to say the least, that there are still people that honor veterans.
It's so profound. It's so meaningful.
What an incredible story. Our thanks to Gotti Schwartz for bringing us that. Well, while much of Brooks' life is unknown, the funeral director said that he, quote, still deserves to be respected and not alone. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. But don't go anywhere. The news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.